thank you everyone for coming to Liberal Youth's Fringe on the real impact of asylum policy. We have a fantastic panel of speakers for you who are going to give you the insights into detention and asylum within the UK. We have, starting from the very far left, Jerome Phelps from Detention Action. Sorry, I didn't mean that politically. I'm sure you'll make that your views clear when you get a chance to speak. Jerome has been working with people in detention since 2003 and was the author of 2 reports about detention of asylum seekers, Detained Lives, and then in 2010, No Release, No Return, and No Reason. Then we have, on my not quite so far to the left, we have Mike Kay from Still Human, Still Here, which is an umbrella organisation of 40 different groups that are campaigning for an end to destitution of refused asylum seekers in the UK. Then on the right, or not indeed, we have Sarah Harding. Sarah is a member of the Liberal Youth Executive Committee and is chair of our policy committee. She's generally known as the policy guru within Liberal Youth and will be sharing some thoughts of the youth perspective with you today. And then, I do apologise, Tom, but on the far right, we have Tom Brake MP, who was elected in 1997 and is co-chair of the Liberal Democrat Backbench Committee on Home Affairs, Justice and Equality, and he's also a member of Amnesty International. The way it's going to work this afternoon is each panel member is going to speak for about 10 minutes, sharing their particular insights. Then we'll open it up to questions from the audience, if that's all okay. Excellent, right. Mike, would you like to start us off, please, with a little 10-minute speech?
Yes, well, thanks very much to Liberal Youth for organising this. It's really important to get the messages out about asylum. And for those of you who don't know, Still Human is a coalition of now 45 organisations that have come together to end the destitution of refused asylum seekers in the UK. Now that includes all of the main refugee agencies, but it also includes faith-based organisations, humanitarian organisations, and increasingly specialised agencies who do not have as their principal area of work refugees, but because of destitution they're having to work with them. I'm talking about Red Cross, I'm talking about Crisis, I'm talking about Mind, Doctors of the World, Citizens Advice Bureau, Children's Society. And the first question that a lot of people ask me is, well, if they're refused, why are all you agencies working on their behalf? And the key aspect of that is because we have a concern that a large number of them, not all of them, but a large number of people who end up without any form of support do have a protection issue. They should be getting some form of protection in this country. And the reason we say that is because if you look at the people who end up without any form of support, 70% of them are from just 8 countries. And those countries are Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Eritrea, Sudan, Somalia, Zimbabwe, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. In short, they're all countries either in conflict or with serious and widespread human rights violations. Now the Home Office might say, well, you would say that, wouldn't you? But actually, if you look at the Home Office's own stats, you find that a lot of asylum seekers win appeals. That in short, the Home Office gets the initial decision wrong in a lot of cases. In fact, in 27% of cases last year. But much more worryingly, if you look at some of the nationalities that I've just mentioned, the success rate of appeal is much, much higher. So in 2010, over 50% of Somalis won their appeals. Over 30% of Zimbabweans, Somalis, Eritreans also won their appeals. Now, that shows that the decision-making process needs to be improved. And you may say, well, at least the appeals process is working. But it only works if you get good quality legal representation. And that is in short supply, and it's going to get in increasingly short supply. So what that means is, whether you get protection in this country becomes a lottery as to whether you've got good legal representation. And we can stop that if we improve the quality of initial decisions. The second problem with decision making is that we have a protection gap. And that opened up in 2002 when the government of the day removed exceptional leave to remain. Now this was a category you got if you didn't reach the very strict criteria of refugee. And to be a refugee you have to prove that individually you're being persecuted, that you can't move to another area of the country, and that the government is either unwilling or unable to protect you. In short, it's quite a high threshold to prove. Now what we had exceptional leave to remain for was those people fleeing conflicts. Somalia, for example, whereas if we send you back to Mogadishu, there's a fair chance you might actually get killed, even though you haven't been targeted as an individual. So, with exceptional leave to remain, you get 3 years temporary protection in this country. 24% of asylum seekers got exceptional leave to remain in 2002 before it was abolished. The categories that replaced it, humanitarian protection and discretionary leave, we only gave to 8% of people last year, and 5% of them were children. That is the protection gap. And what it means in practice, if I give you a specific example, Zimbabweans, we have not removed a single Zimbabwean in 8 years because the courts have said it's not safe to do so. But we have refused over 10,000 in that time. Now those 10,000 people have no status here, they're not removed. Some of them subsist on vouchers worth £5 a day. Many of them have no support whatsoever. They're not allowed to work to support themselves. And that is the protection gap, and that is the insanity of a situation whereby we should be providing protection to people because it's not safe, but we are not doing so. So one of the ways we can stop destitution is improve the quality of decision making. That brings me neatly on to destitution itself. And this is a very serious problem across the country. The British Red Cross in 2008 was supporting over 10,000 asylum seekers in need of emergency assistance. That went up to 11,600 in 2009. It's getting worse because the previous government changed the policy in two respects. Firstly, those people waiting for initial decisions, they cut support levels, which means that the vast majority of asylum seekers have to survive on just over £5 a day. Now, they will get accommodation if they don't have their own means of support, and fuel bills are included in that. But you still have to meet food, clothing, toiletries, and pursue your asylum application on just over £5 a day. For single adults, that's 55% of income support. It is not, in our view, enough to meet your essential living needs. Now, that's a particular problem for those who get nothing at all, because it was other asylum seekers who were helping them to survive when all of their support was cut off. The other thing the previous government did was, at the end of the process, those people who it accepted could not be removed through no fault of their own, for example, Zimbabweans, or many Iranians because of documentation problems, people who are too sick to travel. The government would give them £5 a day to live on. However, it's narrowed the criteria for accessing this form of support, so that whereas at the end of 2009 you would have roughly 11,000 people on this form of subsistence support, now you only have 3,500. And these people are also now without any form of support whatsoever. So even though the numbers are going down in terms of asylum applications, and I should point out, take this opportunity to point out that we had the lowest number of asylum applications in this country since 1989, since the Berlin Wall fell. Yet there is a perception in the wider general public that we have a huge number of people coming to this country seeking protection. We do not. And even though the numbers are coming down, the numbers of people who are destitute and in need of emergency support is still very high. And we strongly believe that there is no need for the UK in the 21st century to have the Red Cross providing emergency relief to people in this country. I think that is a scandal. And we would like a system whereby everybody who is in the asylum process from point of application until they're removed or integrated gets the minimum amount to meet their essential living needs, and at a minimum that should be 70% of income support. Two other things that we think very strongly improve the situation. I mean, the solution to the situation is quite simple. You provide support from end to end. But what you could do to improve the situation is allow asylum seekers to work if they've been in the country for 6 months awaiting a decision, or if they can't be removed through no fault of their own, the Zimbabwean example again. A lot of MPs have expressed their support. We've got strong support from Liberal Democrats, manifesto commitment, and I think that would be one area where we could relieve the burden on the taxpayer and give people a sense of dignity again, and allow them to support themselves. The other thing we could do is allow asylum seekers access to healthcare while they're in this country. Some asylum seekers are charged for access to secondary healthcare, and because of destitution, and because of the low rates of asylum support, we are seeing increasing amounts of physical and mental health problems amongst asylum seekers. So these are some of the short-term and the long-term solutions to the problem. I think I'll leave it there so we can have as many questions as possible. Thanks very much.
Excellent, thank you.